Hello folks and welcome to Thursday Thunder. Time now to turn our attention to one of my personal favourite categories in Australian Speedway racing. If you've never seen the Super Rods, you are dead set missing out. They are a tremendous category and of course they're instantly recognisable by the fact they go the other way around. So, sorry to use the term, but sidecar style if you like. And joining us on the phone is without doubt one of the brightest lights in Super Rod racing in Shaun Walsh. Shaun, welcome to Thursday Thunder.
Thanks for having me, Wade.
My pleasure, mate. You have a fantastic category. They always turn on great racing, and of course, probably the main venues that people catch you racing would be what Avalon and Premier Speedway Warrnambool in terms of mainstream venues. Yeah,
that's correct, mate. Not to forget, probably Simpson as well will be one of our other probably home tracks as well.
It's a phenomenal category. It looks so much faster because it's going the opposite way. If you've ever turned the entertainment cabinet open slightly and watched, say, sprint car racing through the reflection in the window, you get a much better idea of what Super Rod racing is like. What is it like to go the other way?
Well, to me, mate, it's really second nature. That's really the only class I've ever driven, and we grown up on that. So yeah, mate, to me, I couldn't tell you. That's just what we do.
I'd say it takes a fair bit of skill, particularly if you swap backwards and forwards from one to the other. Let's talk about your career. You've been racing since 2002, so coming up on 10 years of racing, though you did have a couple of years out, which we'll get to shortly. Now, you started off in SDAV rods. There are two categories of rod racing in Victoria, correct?
That's correct, mate, yep.
How do they work and what are they?
Well, they're still basically based on your basic sprint car setup, except for obviously everything's flipped around and turned backwards as we run the other way. We run all the same gear as a sprint car, except for we obviously run a lot cheaper motor. Obviously your steel 350
yep.
Chevs,
yep.
and steel heads, and we stick one of them funky fiberglass bodies on it, whether it be a Holden Barina or a Honda Z, or as providing it's similar to a micro car, mate. Yeah.
Now, I've been opportunity to see Super Rod racing and call it many times, and I've stood next to American sprint car drivers at times who've watched you guys, and they all stand there with their mouths wide open. I think because you do go in the opposite direction. Now, the SDAV ranks are very solid as well. Would I be right in saying that it's more of a traditional form of rod racing in the SDAV? Yeah,
I think so. I mean, the SDAV rods date right back to the days of the Melbourne Speedbowl, even further, I think, actually, to the Tracy Speedbowl in Maribyrnong. So,
wow.
Yeah, they've been around quite a long time.
Now, of course, you, along with Debbie Luckett and so many thousands of Victorians, you're a bit of a Melbourne Speedbowl junkie. That's where you grew up, right?
I am, mate. I am. Believe it or not, I'm actually sitting here now looking at the original Welcome to the Melbourne Speedbowl sign.
Is that right? You borrowed that, did you?
No. I'm lucky that it's ended up in the hands of a very, very close friend of mine.
Fantastic. Now, let's talk about this category for you. You, of course, raced SDAV predominantly first, and you were able to win 3 consecutive state titles. So you got pretty handy at the category.
Yeah, we were quite fortunate in the SDAV classes. I don't know if the guys just felt sorry for me and handed a few to us, but look, yeah, no, we did. We done quite well in the SDAV club.
Now, unfortunately, you had a pretty horrific accident that injured your back and your shoulder, and that was to take you out of the sport for 2 years. When you were building yourself back up to return to racing, something helped you that was quite inspirational. Yeah.
So I think it's one of those questions that mothers typically ask their sons getting close to Christmas, what do you want for Christmas? And I turned around to Mum and said, I want the Brooke Tatnell story.
And that was pretty inspirational for his recovery and his resilience. Like, what did you get from that?
Well, after I sat down and watched the movie a couple of times, I think, look, Brooke went through very much a similar accident to myself.
Yep.
And just trying to read into a bit of Brooke himself, I think we basically have a very similar personality, Brooke and I. We're both very eager and very determined, and it was something that really, really did actually help me get through quite a lot of the down times.
Yep, I completely understand what you're saying. We're looking at the moment some onboard vision. That's one thing that you work very hard on, your team. You always have phenomenal onboard cameras. What do you place any emphasis on that? Do you watch them back to give you any idea of what you're doing on the track, or what are you doing that for?
I think it was more so just for a different view of what's going on with the car, and I think it's just something different and new that we could work with. We've always worked with second-hand footage that people have filmed from just outside the pit fence, and this is sort of, it's been quite handy to actually have on board the car.
They're just a great category. I love them on so many levels. Your racing's always very close. They look tremendous. Fans always really get their kicks. And of course, we've seen guys like Johnny Vogels, Jeff Judd, David Magilton. People like that have come out. Of course, Robbie Rankin have come out of this category and gone into sprint cars. Now, you recently had a skid in a wingless sprint car. How hard was it to go from one direction to the other?
The wingless sprint was actually a lot of fun to drive, and to actually adapt to the other way was actually quite easy. The biggest thing that I found with running anti-clockwise was actually when you corner, you actually lean onto the throttle. Okay. So it was actually easier to have good throttle control rather than anti-clockwise, where the natural G-force is actually trying to pull your foot off the throttle.
Your cars always look fantastic, mate. You've got great support from a couple of fantastic sponsors.
Yeah, we do. We're lucky enough to have Mega Auto Parts in Williamstown. Mick's been with us for quite a number of years now, and he's really dug deep for us. And we've just recently, in the last 2 years, picked up Dave's Custom Rods and Classics. Without these guys, it just makes it a little bit easier for us. Look, we only work the average 9 to 5 job, so finances for us sometimes do get a bit tight, mate. So these guys have really dug deep for us.
Now, speaking of finances, you can effectively secure a top-line super rod for around the 30 to 35 grand mark, but you were saying many guys do it on a comparatively smaller budget, even like 10 to 12 grand.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, that was probably one of the things that really sort of turned us on when we looked at the super rod class quite a few years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, is the level of drivers that have got a lot cheaper gear and are still running at the top line. It was something that really appealed to us. We didn't have to have big dollars up front. I mean, it always helps, but these guys that are still running around in $10,000 cars, they're giving it their all, and they're really pushing the limits, and they're doing a really fantastic job.
We're just watching some great vision from Simpson here of you charging through the corners and working very hard. Of course, the Podger Memorial has been an event you've been extremely successful at, a 3-time winner of that race, and something that's unique to you that your dad never won.
Yeah, it's a bit of a family joke, that one. Look, Dad's won just about all the races that I could ever want to win, but unfortunately he never knocked that one off. But I've always offered one of my trophies to him, which we quite sarcastically has a bit of a giggle about. So.
And of course your dad is Chris Howard, a man who's sort of very well known to Victorian Speedway fans. Mate, it's tremendous to talk to you, Shaun. I'm sure you've got a phenomenal season ahead of you. As I said, I'm a huge fan of this category. It has so much to offer on so many levels, between the super rods and the SDAV. They rock Victoria. Hopefully they'll get on to possibly South Australia as well, and maybe even start to branch out from there. Looking forward to a big season for you, mate. I hope you can keep up with your progress on Thursday Thunder. You've just returned from Fiji, so I'm sure you've got a spectacular tan going anyway.
Yeah, no, not mate. I'm a white boy, buddy.
It's great to talk to you. Good luck this year, and we look forward to following your progress on Thursday Thunder.
Thanks, Wade. Thanks for having me, mate.
Super Rod star Shaun Walsh, a tremendous young racer in a fantastic category. And of course, Super Rod Racing, you can check him out throughout Victoria in the season ahead.